In a world where women are murdered by their significant others so often, and it seems like no one cares or wants to point it out, it's so satisfying to read ancient folklore where that not only is acknowledged but pointed out as absolutely evil, and where the perpetrator gets what he deserves. Like in this gory story from India called Kini Mulki. There's a dude named Keiny Moki, and he's the only son of his mother. Now his cousin, a girl named Baal Ermal, has 7 brothers, and he goes to the 7 brothers and says, all right, I want to marry your sister. The book says this is a Tulu tale about a hunting caste called the Mugerlu. Like cultures all over the world, they practiced first cousin marriage. Well, anyway, the brothers don't want to say yes because they say, you know what, you're an only child and we don't trust that. It's said that only children are selfish and ruthless. And Keiny doesn't dispute that. He says, that may be, but you must give me your sister. And so they do. The sister is not happy about it though. When she's alone with her brother, she says, have I become such a burden to you that you would give me to this ruthless man, the only son of a mother? Ugh. But there's nothing they can do about it. So she goes home with him and lives with him and his mom, also tradition. Later, there's war, so he has to leave and go fight, and he tells his mother, hey, take good care of my wife. But as soon as he's gone, the mother-in-law is like, I'm not providing anything for you. Young brides being helpless at the hands of cruel mother-in-laws is a common thing in folklore from India and lots of Asia, because that was the position a lot of girls found themselves in. The mother-in-law is like, walk to your brothers and get toddy, which is palm beer, and fish. And so she walks the long way there. The brothers are super happy to see her, and she's like, yeah, I got sent here to get toddy and fish. And she loves staying with them, so she just stays with them for a while, like actually being taken care of. So her husband comes home early from war and he's like, Mom, where's my wife? And she's like, I don't know, she just left. And this makes Keiny Moki so mad that he gets a bow and arrow and goes off to find his wife and kill her. He finds her outside the house of her brothers, climbs a tree, and starts shooting arrows at her. He shoots one to her right, one to her left, one above her, one between her legs, and then finally shoots one in her breast and kills her, after presumably either terrorizing her on purpose or being a bad shot. So she dies, but she instantly takes the form of a bird and perches in a serpent grove. Now the brothers go along the path where her dead body is lying and just see it, and they're like, oh, I don't know who that is, just some dead person. And they keep walking until they pass the serpent grove, and then as a bird, our girl is like, go back, it's my body. And they're like, what? She tells them everything, and not just everything that happened, but also just kind of venting about her rage. I am your sister. You tied me to the only son of a mother. He is a violent man. He killed me. Then the bird flies out of the serpent grove and sits at the foot of the corpse, and they go back and they're like, oh my God, it's our sister. But as soon as the bird settles on her body, she gasps for breath and comes back to life because her spirit left, but now it's back. The brothers put their arms around her and kissed her, gave her 7 balls of rice, and then brought her home. And now they're gonna go off and get some justice. Keiny Moki is back home with his mom, and they see the brothers coming, and so they know they're coming to get vengeance for their sister. They just don't know she's still alive. Mom hides her son in the attic, wrapped up in a woven mat. The brothers are like, woman, where's your son? And she's like, I don't know. The youngest brother, though, immediately knows what's up, opens the mat, finds his brother-in-law and says, hey, what are you doing? We've got some toddy and we're gonna make a curry. Come eat with us. Let's go party. So he's like, okay. They take their brother-in-law to this earthen mound made by a porcupine, and they're like, we want to eat that porcupine. Get in that mound. Go dig it out. He doesn't have a choice, and so he gets down, and when he digs himself into the hole, the top collapses on him and kills him, which I guess they knew was gonna happen. Then it gets really gory. They cut a chunk of flesh from the right thigh of their dead brother-in-law and go back to the mom's house, and they're like, oh, mother-in-law, your son killed an animal. We brought you some of the meat. So she cooks the meat, she grinds spices to make the curry for the meat, and she's like, hey, where'd my son go? And they're like, oh, we sent him off for the toddy. Hey, why don't you taste that meat? See if it's salty enough. And she's like, I'll wait for the toddy. And they're like, no, you're gonna taste it now. And she's like, okay. And she eats it. And then they say, mother-in-law, you bore a single son. We killed your son, and you have eaten his flesh. You have sinned by trying to destroy our sister, putting thorns inside our house, which is so dramatic and cool. Now you must take those thorns into your own house. And then they just leave, and they're like, our sister's staying with us for good now, so bye. From then on, they fed and cared for their younger sister, giving her one portion from each of their own 7 shares of everything. This story is often in a category with the Juniper Tree, a Brothers Grimm story that's lesser known but mostly famous for a father being fed the flesh of his murdered son without knowing it. Something that's all over the place in literature, like Titus Andronicus. The musical Sweeney Todd has people unknowingly eating human flesh. But a lot of people point to the Juniper Tree and Grimm Brothers fairy tales as being really gory and horrific, but those people have not read Asian fairy tales. The more Asian fairy tales I read, the more I read about cannibalism as vengeance for murder, and I love it. One of my favorites that you should check out is from Vietnam, The Legend of Tam and Cam, where it's kind of a Cinderella story where the stepmom is basically tricked into eating fish sauce that's made of her daughter's dead body, and she eats it down to the bottom and then sees the skull and dies of horror. Anyway, I love that about this story, and I love the brothers protecting their sister, and I love that they get justice for her, and that the guy who is a wife abuser and murderer is painted as bad from the very start and gets what he deserves in the end.